Now, your forecast first from KARK-4, your weather authority.
It certainly was a blustery autumn day across Arkansas today. We started with plenty of clouds, but increasing amounts of sunshine during the afternoon, and that gradual clearing trend will continue, especially for you folks up in northeast Arkansas, where it'll be the slowest to clear. And that will keep your temperatures in the northeast up a little bit, low to mid-50s. Elsewhere, mid-40s to around 50 degrees. Your forecast first for Little Rock. We are looking for mostly clear skies this evening. It'll be breezy through sundown, 66 degrees at 7 p.m. Clear overnight tonight. We're going to start your Wednesday in the upper 40s. KARK-4 News at 6 starts now.
Now, from the station you count on for local news that matters. This is KARK-4 News at 6.
I really want to completely give my side of the story.
Words from a man accused of kidnapping and killing a Central Arkansas mother. Thank you for joining us this evening at 6 o'clock, everyone. I'm Bob Clausen.
And I'm Ashley Ketz. Arron Lewis has been behind bars for 2 weeks now, and he had plenty to say in front of our cameras. KARK-4's Shannon Miller, the only reporter Lewis has agreed to speak with behind bars.
Bob and Ashley, we spoke with Lewis for more than an hour. He started talking before we could even unpack today. He maintains he is innocent of kidnapping and killing Beverly Carter, saying the whole thing was an accident. Now, Lewis is being held on capital murder and kidnapping charges at the maximum security prison and said there is much more to the story. He told us he did not kill Beverly or kidnap her, but panicked after she died accidentally. He said he is more than willing to tell the entire story of what happened with his attorney's permission. The details he did share with us were that Beverly willingly got into his car with him and that they were already at the area where her body was found by Thursday night.
I feel bad about everything that happened. I have respect for her family too.
Lewis went on to say his actions have affected a lot of people's lives. We do want to mention Beverly Carter's family and investigators. Both watched this entire interview before we aired any of the clips today. We will hear much more from Lewis coming up tonight at 10.
Thank you, Shannon. And after Shannon's final report Wednesday night, we will post the entire interview with Arron Lewis on our website at arkansasmatters.com.
A military veteran's complaint on Facebook getting widespread attention after he says he was told his service wasn't good enough to receive a military discount. Jeff Newkirk spent 13 years in the service. He says that he typically used what's called his DD-214 at places like Home Depot for the last decade, getting military discounts with that ID. Until Monday, when he says the store manager made it very clear why.
He said that wasn't good enough anymore. I said, well, what's not good enough? He said, well, your service is not good enough anymore.
Home Depot says the policy changed in March of 2010, but before they only honored military discounts on patriotic holidays, they actually expanded the policy to an everyday deal, and it just doesn't include Newkirk's kind of ID. In a response, Home Depot says, we're very sorry for the confusion that occurred. To see Home Depot's full statement and Newkirk's Facebook post, go to our website, arkansasmatters.com.
Now to a KARK-4 News update. A 73-year-old woman found alive yesterday after a 4-day search has died. Teresa Jackson, an Alzheimer's patient, was found on Monday beneath a pile of brush. At the time, she was suffering from hypothermia. Jackson walked away from her home Friday afternoon.
Because money matters, people expecting a big boost from a new police station in Little Rock that includes a lot of space for retail can have to wait a little while to feel that impact. KARK-4's Drew Petrimo learning more about why the space will remain vacant, empty for several years. He's joining us now live with more on this. Hey, Drew, what's up here?
Well, hey, Bob, the 44,000 square foot police substation here was touted as further aiding the economic revitalization of the 12th Street corridor. It had its grand opening last month, but a similar event for retail space built into the facility that's been supposed to provide an economic and social hub for the community won't be happening anytime soon. Calvin Franklin's auto body shop sits practically in the shadows of the new Little Rock Police substation on 12th Street.
In my opinion, help the community, bring the property value up a little bit.
On top of the increased sense of security, Franklin was happy to hear about 6,300 square feet of retail space built into the facility.
I would like to see that come in.
After a grand opening of the substation last month, locals say they figured further development would follow right behind.
I mean, I thought just right away wait maybe a month or two after they open up.
But we've learned the wait will be much longer.
Well, it's very disappointing, and I'd like to know why.
The city says the type of tax-free short-term bonds used to finance the $12 million project come with restrictions on how much of the space can be used for private enterprise until the bonds are paid off.
There was a lot of excitement because it's something new.
The city couldn't say Tuesday exactly how long folks in the 12th Street corridor will have to wait for the retail space to be available, only that it would be less than 3 years. For Calvin Franklin, it's a dent in revitalization that'll take some time to buff out.
Really, personally, I didn't know it was going to take that long.
Aside from the bond restrictions, the city says it needs time to work with locals to determine the types of business that will benefit the community and also to vet prospective tenants. Live in Little Rock, Drew Petrimo, KARK 4 News.
KARK 4 is your local election headquarters. The race for Arkansas's Senate seat it is heating up. And tonight we will learn much more from the candidates as they have a series of debates that have been planned. Mark Pryor taking on challenger Tom Cotton. KARK 4's David Goins joins us live in Fayetteville, where the two have been planning to face off for some time now. David.
Good evening, Ashley. Beautiful night in Fayetteville. Sets itself up nicely for an evening of debates here. Pep Rally-like atmosphere, you could say, here outside the University of Arkansas Fayetteville Global Campus in downtown Fayetteville. Now, again, this is the only scheduled debate between Tom Cotton and Mark Pryor one-on-one. You do remember just yesterday in the city of Conway, they were joined by two third-party candidates. Now, Cotton in that debate worked very hard to tie Mark Pryor to the president. Meanwhile, the two-term senator worked to show that Cotton's allegiances are with out-of-state interests and not with voters here in Arkansas. In case you haven't noticed, the Senate race is already the most expensive in the state, with well over $30 million in TV and radio ads and significant national interest, as Republicans nationally hope that Tom Cotton can help them take control of the Senate up in D.C. Now, this debate starts in just under an hour. To highlight that national intensity, it will be carried live nationwide on C-SPAN, and we'll watch it closely over the next couple hours. Live in Fayetteville, David Goins, KARK 4 News.
All right, David, thank you very much. A nonpartisan government group saying voter ID laws in 2 states reduced voter turnout in 2012, the general election. The Supreme Court in Arkansas considering whether the state's voter ID law will stand. KARK 4's Marcy Manley joining us now with more on this. So, Marcy, those opposed to the law say they're not really surprised by the study's findings.
Well, those opposed to voter ID laws here in Arkansas say it creates another qualification to vote that isn't in the state constitution. This study by the Government Accountability Office, however, looked at Kansas and Tennessee in the 2012 general election. Both states passed strict voter ID laws prior to the election, and according to the report, both saw decreased turnout by about 2% that they attributed to the ID laws. The report also found that young people, African Americans, and newly registered voters were those voting groups that seemed to be significantly impacted by the laws, with the greatest decreases.
The right to vote is one of our most cherished rights. It's what we go to war to defend in our country, our ability to participate in the democracy.
Rita Sklar with the ACLU of Arkansas says the ACLU has argued to the Supreme Court the state's voter ID law creates a qualification to vote that is not included in the Arkansas Constitution, and that affects specific groups of voters more than others. The Arkansas Supreme Court has heard oral arguments in the voter ID case, and advocates are hoping for a decision from the court prior to the start of early voting next week. Back to you.
More on a college football player who gives his all on the field and off the field. That story coming up in today's Community Matters.
And today may not have started off very promising, but clouds did gradually clear, except for you folks up in northeast Arkansas. But you'll see some clearing overnight, though. 72 and 57, the high and low temperature in Little Rock today. We're going to start warming things up a little bit, but not before a couple of chilly overnights. The forecast is straight ahead.
From the station that brings you local news that matters, this is KARK 4 News at 6 in high definition. With Bob Clausen, Ashley Katz, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan, and Aaron Peters with your Razorback Nation report.